The city lights blurred, rain slicked the streets, creating a shimmering, almost surreal landscape. The night was heavy with the scent of wet asphalt and the distant hum of traffic, a symphony of urban life. Isaac Brooks tasted salt, but it wasn't from the sea. It was the bitter taste of tears, mingling with the rain on his lips. It was the sting of betrayal, sharp and lingering, cutting deeper than any physical wound. His eyes, once filled with hope, now reflected only pain and disillusionment.
My partners, my friends, had turned on me. The ones I trusted with my life had sold me out, leaving me to rot in the shadows, left me dead, but yet I still live. Laying there on a cold floor, bleeding out in that warehouse, a place that once held our secrets and plans, now my tomb, not dead yet. All for a payoff, for a lie that had painted me guilty. They traded loyalty for greed, and my life for their gain. Now I'm gonna see how much pain they got, and how much I'm worth.
He'd believed in the law, in the badge. It was a symbol of justice, of right and wrong. Now he saw it for what it was, a tarnished shield held by trembling hands. The badge, once a beacon of hope, now seemed like a cruel joke. Justice was a child's game in Neo Vista, played by those with power and influence. The city, with its towering skyscrapers and glittering lights, hid a dark underbelly of corruption and deceit. And he was no longer part of their twisted game. He walked away, leaving behind the life he once knew, stepping into the unknown.
But from the ashes of my anger, something else began to stir. A fire that burned hotter than any betrayal. The spirit of vengeance. Not just a need for justice, but a quench for vendetta. The neon lights flickered, casting eerie shadows that mirrored his resolve. Those who had wronged me would face me again. They would see the consequences of their actions. They will see me again. I would become their nightmare, a whisper in the dark. I would become Ghost. The city would remember my name, and they would fear the shadows.
Gone was Detective Brooks, the man who clung to the light. He was once a beacon of hope, a symbol of justice in a city drowning in shadows. He shed his identity like a snake sheds its skin. His apartment stood empty, a hollow shell of what once was, a silent testament to his vanished life. The walls echoed with memories of a man who no longer existed.
I became a phantom, a shadow in the night, moving through the city's underbelly. The darkness became my ally, the shadows my refuge. The neon glow of Neo Vista became my only sun. It was a city that never slept, a place where the night was alive with secrets. I learned its rhythms, its secrets. Every corner, every alley had a story to tell. The forgotten alleys, the whispering informants, the pulse of the criminal underworld. It all became familiar. I knew where to look, who to ask.
He saw the city's true face, the one hidden behind the gleaming facade. The city was a beast with two faces, the one hidden behind the gleaming facade. The bright lights and clean streets were just a mask. He saw the victims, the forgotten, those who lived in the shadows, unseen and unheard, those who had been chewed up and spit out by the same system that had betrayed him. The city had a way of breaking people. Their pain resonated with his own. He felt their suffering, their despair.
I would be their shield, their instrument of retribution. I would fight for them, for those who had no voice.
It began with a simple mask, a ghost skull mask that seemed so ordinary, so unremarkable, yet it held within it the power to change everything. White, featureless, a blank slate, covered with the layer of dust almost out of sight but not out of mind. It was as if it was waiting for someone to give it purpose, to breathe life into its emptiness. He found it in a costume shop, tucked away in a dusty corner. The shop was filled with forgotten relics of past celebrations, but this mask caught my eye, even though it was hidden. It was a discarded thing, forgotten and unwanted, just like him. In that moment, he felt a connection to the mask, a bond formed out of shared neglect.
But in its stark simplicity, I saw potential. I saw a canvas upon which I could paint my new identity, a tool to craft my destiny, a symbol of anonymity, of fear. It was more than just a mask. It was a shield, a weapon, a new face for a new mission, a way to instill dread in the hearts of the guilty while shielding myself from the world that had turned its back on me. The mask gave me the power to become something more, something beyond human frailty.
He became a phantom, a spectre skull. He became Ghost. The mask transformed him into a legend whispered in the darkest corners of the city. No longer bound by the constraints of his former life, he embraced the shadows. The night became his ally, the darkness his cloak. He honed his skills, his body becoming a weapon. Every punch, every kick, every movement was a step towards his new purpose.
The mask wasn't just a disguise, it was a transformation. It was the key to unlocking a new identity, a new life. It was the shedding of Isaac Brooks, the broken detective, and the birth of something new, something ruthless and unyielding. The mask allowed him to leave behind his past and embrace a future where justice was his to command.
Word spread through the city's veins like a virus. Whispers of a figure in white, a phantom who dispensed justice with swift, brutal efficiency. Low-level criminals, the thugs and dealers, became his first targets.
I moved like a wraith, striking fear into their hearts. I knew their tactics, their weaknesses. I was a predator in their world, and they were my prey.
Each swift takedown, each whispered warning cemented his legend. But these were just the first steps. He was mapping the network, following the threads of corruption. His ultimate goal was always in sight. Those who had orchestrated his downfall. Their time would come. The Hammer, Victor Lane's right hand, a brutal enforcer known for his ruthlessness. He was a cog in the machine that had crushed Isaac, and his time had come.
The fight was swift, brutal. I moved with a precision born of rage and honed by months of planning.
The Hammer, used to instilling fear, found himself facing something cold and implacable. The alley echoed with the sounds of the struggle, the thud of bodies, the clang of metal. When it was over, the Hammer lay broken, a symbol of Isaac's transformation. He had tasted revenge, and it was bittersweet. News of the Hammer's defeat spread like wildfire. The name whispered on the lips of both the fearful and hopeful. Ghost. He wasn't just a vigilante, he was a symbol of resistance against the city's entrenched corruption.
The people I saved, the whispers of gratitude in the darkness, fueled my resolve. They were the reason I fought, the reason I clung to my humanity in the face of the abyss.
He wasn't just tearing down the corrupt. He was building something new, a network of informants, of allies, bound by their shared experiences and their hunger for a better tomorrow. Section 7. A city of shadows. Near Vista throbbed around him, a city of shimmering lights and hidden truths. From the depths of its underbelly to the gleaming towers of the elite, corruption coiled like a serpent.
Isaac saw it all. He moved through the city like a phantom, always watching, always listening. He was building a case, brick by bloody brick, against those who had wronged him and countless others.
The line between justice and revenge had blurred, but his purpose remained clear. He would expose the rot at the heart of Neo Vista. He would make them pay. He would make them fear the Ghost. Section 8. The Ghost's Network. It wasn't just about brute force. Isaac knew that to truly fight the system, he needed eyes and ears everywhere.
He needed to build a phantom army, striking from the shadows with the weight of the people behind him. He cultivated his network carefully, joined by Bloodsword, a mercenary also left for dead, and a hacker named Entity. These three as one will start the resistance, disgruntled cops, victims of the system, others betrayed as he was, enemies of the state, those called terrorists.
They brought him information, whispers of illegal shipments, corrupt officials, and the movements of Victor Lane's men. Each piece of information was a weapon, carefully filed away, waiting for the right moment to be unleashed. He was playing a dangerous game, but the stakes were too high to back down now. Section 9. Seeds of Rebellion. The more Isaac learned, the more he realized the depth of Victor Lane's reach. The man was a spider, his webs of influence ensnaring every facet of Neo Vista.
But even spiders could be crushed. He began to leak information to honest journalists, to rival gangs who chafed under Lane's control. He sowed chaos and dissent, chipping away at the foundations of Lane's empire. Brick by brick, the whole house is coming down.
The city was a tinderbox, and he was striking the match. He knew the consequences would be severe, but he was no longer fighting just for himself. He was fighting for the soul of Neo Vista. Section 10. Atop the world, alone. He stood on the rooftop, the wind whipping at his mask. Below him, Near Vista sprawled, a luminous tapestry of neon and concrete. It was a city on the brink, teetering between hope and despair.
The ghost. He was no longer Isaac Brooks, the detective who clung to the law. He was something else entirely, a symbol, a force of nature. He was the embodiment of the city's pain, its rage and its yearning for justice.
He was alone, yes, but he was not broken. He was forged anew in the fires of betrayal and hardship, and he would not rest until Near Vista was free or until the darkness consumed him entirely.